What's going on, beautiful people? Daniel Media are in the building, and today we're going to talk about another topic, which is 3 things that every single man needs to be happy. Now, of course, I got the 7 principles ready for you. Before I start, you can find my services at theimprotrainer.com. You can join my 1, 3, and a 6-month coaching program where I focus on the human relationships, finances, and also fitness, of course, as I've been doing for the past 12 years. I just added a couple more things into my coaching arsenal that I can teach people and I really want to share. And of course, part of it is human relationships and finances. Now, if you want to book a single consultation, you can also do it at theimprotrainer.com. It's about an hour phone call and we're going to go through everything that you guys need to fix in your life. Also, I published a book that's called Weight Loss Without Plateau. You can find it on Amazon. And this book, I went into detail of human metabolism, how it works, what to watch out for, and how to, of course, prevent the plateau. I describe my calorie cycling method that I've been using for the past 12 years on thousands of clients successfully, and people made tremendous transformations. Also, if you guys are looking to order beef that's a really high quality, grass-fed, grass-finished, you can place your order at dmbeef.com. We ship nationwide. It's American produced, shipping from Utah and Texas. By that being said, we can head to today's topic, which is 3 things that every man needs to be happy. So I'm going to read off the screen that I have right behind my cameras here. Number 1 is emotional power, mastery over internal states. Emotional power means regulation, resilience, and clarity. That means emotional center. When you get a compliment, your ego is not going to go through the roof. You're not going to get to the God syndrome where you feel like you're on top of the world and you're untouchable. And also when you hear criticism, it's not going to drag you down and slow you down or make you hesitate about your next steps. That's the real center. You say thank you for the compliments and you ignore the criticism. A man who cannot regulate anger, fear, jealousy, insecurity becomes reactive rather than intentional. That is really important because reactive man always makes the stupidest decision ever. You always have to come from a position where you're in the center of your emotions. You think about a situation that you're about to respond to logically and rationally, and that's when you make the step. When you make emotional step, it's going to be a stupid step. Always, you're going to end up regretting it. So when you feel any type of emotion, whether it's a fear, jealousy, or anger, pause for a second. In that pause, you're going to kill the man who's going to make a stupid decision, or you're going to kill the man who is trying to please everybody else. You just simply take a second for yourself, think about it, and then you come up with the proper resolution. Emotional volatility destabilizes relationships, career, decisions, and self-respect. Emotional strength enables composure under stress. Very important. You cannot crumble under stress. When you show to the world and to women that you can handle stress, you're going to become very reliable individual. People will look up to you naturally and you're going to become a leader in their eyes. Because most of the people, they crumble under pressure. They cannot handle the pressure. So when you stay composed in the center of your emotions, you separate yourself from the herd. Clear decision making. Very important. A lot of people cannot make clear decisions. They need advices. They cannot think for themselves. They need validation. They need to make sure that what they're about to do is confirmed and validated by other people, and they're afraid to make decisions of their own because they're afraid again of what? The criticism. A man who is strong and who is capable of making decisions doesn't need validation. That doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't need any advice, but he takes this advice into consideration. He doesn't make a full-blown decision based on what one person said. Healthy attachment and boundaries. Healthy attachment means that you're always capable of walking alone in this life. Okay? You're capable of walking alone, and if somebody joins your life, you welcome them with open hands. Now, when that person, your partner, wife, or husband decides to leave you, you just take the emotional pain right on your chin. You make a really clear You make a really clear line behind the past and you don't turn back. You just simply take the pain on your chin, you keep working out, you double your bank account, you get in the best shape of your life, and then you start hanging out with other girls or men, and that helps you to heal from this emotional pain quicker. So simply, healthy attachment means that you love people who are around you, but you still stay logical and rational. A lot of people, they just turn completely stupid and they don't make any logical decisions when they're in a relationship. They let other people cross their boundaries. They bow to their partners. They try to please their partners. They look for the validation. They cannot make decisions for themselves. They're afraid to be alone, etc., etc. That all leads to a real toxic environment. Forget it. That's not a healthy relationship. Purpose-driven behavior. Okay, when you have emotional power, you have a mission. You have a vision for your future, and you are relentlessly pursuing that goal. Regardless of what obstacles come in your life, you'll figure it out, and if you have to, you will break through the walls with your forehead. That is real emotional power. You are pursuing your goals aggressively, and you're not looking for any permissions. Without this foundation, external success cannot produce internal stability. Now, the step number 2 is the opposite. Emotional weakness leads to psychological instability. When emotional regulation is absent, minor setbacks feel catastrophic. So let's say you're in a business, right? And you lost about $1,000 in a business, and now the minor accident will cause catastrophic results or catastrophic outcomes in your mind. You'll blow it up. Even though this business has generated $200,000 for you, you're going to focus on this $1,000 loss. Okay, that's when you're emotionally weak. You cannot look at the things logically and rationally. You react emotionally, and that's why you can't see the full picture. The full picture is that the business is successful, but you lost $1,000. You learn from this mistake and you move on. Criticism feels like rejection. Many people cannot handle criticism whatsoever. Even in a romantic relationships, people feel like the criticism needs to be defended immediately. So let's say your wife tells you, hey, can you put this fork next time back to the place where it belongs to? Man gets defensive instantly and they start blowing things up, they start arguing, and they make something out of nothing. That's when person is emotionally weak, they're not able to stay in their emotional center. Conflict escalates unnecessarily. We just talked about it. You blew up everything, okay? Small things become huge things, and that leads to toxicity and a really bad environment in a household, mostly between the romantic partners. Small things become big things because the person cannot regulate their emotions. They're still probably holding on to the anger from the previous fight, and anytime they have a chance, they want to give this anger to you. They want to pretty much return the pain and return whatever they feel and throw it all on you. That's from the previous fight. They're still holding it within. Very, very typical in romantic relationships. Validation is constantly sought. You never search for validation as a man. You never search for validation from the public, from the world, and especially not from women. A woman is always attracted to the man who is complete by himself in the center of his emotions, who delivers stability, emotional and financial, who knows his mission and relentlessly pursues this mission, okay? No woman wants to have a man who constantly looks for a validation. Am I good enough for you? Have I done enough for you? Is there anything I can change on myself to be better for you? Blah, 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 all this bullshit. A woman is naturally attracted to the man who is complete by himself and who says, I am enough. And a woman next to you is going to scream, he's enough. And if somebody asks your woman, why is your husband enough? She's going to say, I don't know, he said it, so it's probably true. That's how it works, okay? This creates anxiety, resentment, and dependency. Chronic emotional weakness often manifests as depression, rage, addiction, or social isolation. So emotional weakness, now listen to this, manifests to depression. That's what I'm saying. I never met the weak man who's happy at the same time. Weak men are always depressed. They cannot forget about the past, and they don't know where the future is headed. They're just constantly stuck in this cycle of the emotional chaos. Rage. A lot of times when a man doesn't have emotional power, he's raging, he's angry. He wants to return the pain that he feels within back to the world, back to the people who hurt him, instead of dealing with this pain internally, coming to peace with it, letting this pain find a place in his central nervous system and letting it rest in peace right there within his nervous system and not reacting to it. Emotional man is raging. Addiction. porn addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction. Also, you got gambling addiction. All kinds of addictions are coming from the position of the weakness. The man is not able to handle his own emotions, and he's searching for the dopamine so he can feel at least better for a little bit. Okay, that's why he's constantly doing something that's producing the dopamine so he can balance out his hormonal system in the body. And social isolation, finally, that means that a person rather just sits in the corner and he wants to prevent the entire world from seeing him because he feels very vulnerable and he cannot defend himself, and everything that he feels, he's going to react to it, and it's emotionally exhausting. So he doesn't want to be constantly reactive to the emotions that he feels. He's going to get himself back in the corner, protect himself so he doesn't feel anything because the reactions are exhausting him. Now, physical power, embodied competence. Physical power is not about vanity. It is about vitality, discipline, and capability. A strong body enhances confidence through posture and presence. So you stand tall, shoulders are back. This is how you communicate through body language to other people subconsciously that you're confident. You don't need validation. You're not a people pleaser. You're simply just complete by yourself, comfortable with who you are. Now, improves hormonal balance and mood. Now, that's not only from the physical power, but from exercise in general. When you're working out, when you're doing your cardio, you're triggering the endorphins, serotonins. You're getting all these hormones that are making you happy and balancing out your mental health. So you're also lowering your cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, etc., which are the stress hormones. So now you're finding a really good balance in terms of the positive and negative hormones, so you can actually get into good mental health. Improves hormonal balance and mood. We got that one. Increases resilience to stress. When you're constantly going through the physical pain, you also learn how to handle emotional pain better. That's very important. When you're constantly exercising, you're used to the muscle pain, you're used to breathing heavy, you're boxing, you're used to getting punched in the face, etc. That all is going to help you to balance out and deal with the stress in the external world as well. You're just going to become more resilient. Just as simple as that. That's why you have to be in a really good physical shape to handle life in general. Now, it signals self-respect. Most of the people cannot be in a great physical shape. Why? Because they don't have discipline to control their nutrition. They don't have discipline to work out on a daily basis, to do their steps, etc. So when you're in a good shape, you're communicating to the world that you're special, because a lot of people just simply can't do it. For people, it's so much easier to make money, believe it or not, than to get in a great shape. There is a lot more millionaires in the United States than people with the six-pack. Physical discipline trains the mind. The man who controls his body strengthens his will. So the step number 4 is physical weakness produces vulnerability and low agency. Chronic neglect of the body often results in low energy. Okay, you can't wake up. You're just simply living like in a dream, like in a fog. When you're not in a good physical shape, you can't produce results in life in general. You're constantly exhausted, your self-esteem is very low, you're afraid and ashamed to go to the gym, you're ashamed to go to the beach, and even if you're supposed to talk to a woman you really like, you're not confident enough because you're not comfortable within your own skin. It's very important to be in a really good physical shape so you don't have these pretty much these, how do you say it in English, these breaks or these things that are pulling you down. Now, reduced confidence, we already talked about it. One of the biggest fears of people is to go to the beach and take their shirt off because they're ashamed of how they look like. That's a really big problem. You should always be in a shape where you feel comfortable talking to a person shirtless and you're attracted to this person. Let's say you see a chick that's 10 out of 10, you really want to date her. You should be in a good shape enough to take your shirt off and confidently walk up to her and approach her and start the conversation. Perceived and real vulnerability. Vulnerability, when you're not in a good physical shape, is a really big problem. A person doesn't feel competent of any type of physical activity. If somebody tells you to run a mile, you can't. If somebody tells you lift this heavy bar, you can't. If somebody tells you to fight and box, you can't. You just feel vulnerable. Over time, physical fragility can subtly erode self-image and increase dependency on others for protection or support. This perceived lack of capability can diminish life satisfaction. Now, a very important part of this sentence is the physical fragility can subtly erode self-image. you literally start looking at yourself as a weak human being. That's the problem. When you're weak physically for a long period of time, and you feel like you're weak, and you feel like you're not capable of doing anything physically, you will start perceiving yourself as a weak person in general. And that will limit you on your mission. You will not push as hard. You will not set the bars or standards for yourself so high because, firstly, you don't believe that you can actually achieve it. The step number 5 is financial power, resource control, and autonomy. Financial power is the capacity to generate, manage, and protect resources. Money provides freedom of choice. Money gives you the ability to choose where you want to be, what you want to do. People think that the real power of money comes from the luxury. Like you can buy luxury things, you can buy expensive cars. That's a byproduct. The real power of money is to tell people to fuck off. You can be at whatever place you want to be. You don't have to be where you don't want to be. You can choose what you want to do, etc. You can really do whatever you want to do in this life, and that's where the real freedom comes from. Protection against crisis. When a man feels protected, he's pretty much unstoppable. Just watch how you're going to talk to the public or how you talk to people when you feel protected. You're really going to let your authentic self come out. You really don't watch your words. You say everything as it is, and your true authentic self will come out to the surface because now you're not worried that you're going to offend someone or you're going to say something that's going to paint you in a wrong picture. And that might have potentially bad effect on your future money. Let's say it's your manager, your boss is going to hear it, what you said here and there, that's going to affect your income, and then you're going to be screwed in the future. None of that is a thing when you have a financial stability. You're protected from the crisis, and then you really behave confidently. Ability to provide and contribute. Okay, you can provide for the family. When you have money, you can provide for yourself, you can provide for the family, and that allows you to sleep at night. Number one thing of a man on this earth is to survive and deliver stability, emotional and financial, to his family and to himself. That's what men been designed for and have been built for. So when you have the money, you actually feel proud of yourself that you're capable of fulfilling your mission, which is to providing for yourself and for the family. Reduce chronic stress. There's nothing more stressful for a man than a thought that you don't really know how you're going to survive next month. I've had it when I moved to America, and that's why I was constantly working and saving up every single penny I could and investing so I can actually gain peace of mind. This chronic stress of money was one of the worst stresses I've ever experienced in my life. I grew up in it. I hated it. When I first got independent at the age of 18, 19, and I started making money on my own, paying my own bills, I was saving up and investing everything because I was afraid of what's going to happen next month. This was the worst type of a stress that I ever experienced in my life. Never want to experience it again. Every single man has to have enough money, at least for the 6 to 12 months ahead when something happens. Financial competence increases autonomy, a cheap psychological component of well-being. Now, the step number 6, financial weakness creates chronic stress. Persistent financial instability leads to anxiety about survival. Like I said in a previous step, that's one of the worst anxieties I ever had, was lack of money and lack of ability to survive. I was taking literally every single gig I could. I was spending as little as possible. I was eating just pretty much whole eggs all day long, some chicken, and saving up rest of the money. Relationship conflict. 80% of the divorces are because of the money. 75% of the divorces are triggered by women or filed by women, okay? So just think about the numbers. Most of the relationships fail because of the money, because of the resources. So how important the money actually is? Well, after your health, the second most important. You can fix pretty much everything with money except your health. You really got to focus on the dollar. Reduced long-term planning. Feeling of inadequacy. When a man doesn't have enough money to survive, he feels like he's not enough, okay? I've had that feeling, and you kind of feel lost, like you're chasing your tail. You're constantly working, and you don't have enough money. The problem in this situation is the system that you're following, the job that you're having. You really stay where you need to stay to pay for the bills. However, you're searching for the opportunities on the side when you come home. So let's say you're doing your primary job from 9 to 5. And then after 5 p.m. you come home, You pay attention to your own little business that you might advertise on Craigslist, Facebook Market, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And you get these little gigs and you actually start making cash on the side. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where you can't be at two places at the same time. And then that's when you jump off the cliff and you build the parachute as you're falling down. Welcome to the world of business. Okay, so that's how you really start a business. But when you're constantly working and you always don't have enough money, the problem is the system. You do have the discipline, you just investing your energy into the wrong places. So you have to start building your own business on the side while you're keeping the job. And eventually, like I said, you won't be able to be at two places at the same time, and then you choose your own business over the job. Step number 7, integrated power produces stability, not dominance. True strength is integration. Emotional regulation equals to internal stability. Okay? So when you're in the center of your emotions, you actually gain stability and control over yourself. Physical vitality is embodied confidence. You can actually stand tall with your shoulders back, even next to a person who you look up to, or a person who really makes you nervous, has a really high social status, is much richer than you, maybe it's a celebrity. When you have the confidence, it doesn't shake you. You're in the center of your emotions. Whoever is your celebrity crush, or doesn't matter, it could be standing against you, you're still standing confident, you're not communicating stress and the weakness. And this is going to actually allow you to open up a really meaningful conversation with that person. When you're communicating weakness and internal stress, and you start acting like a fan, whoever is standing against you will recognize that, and they will treat you as a fan, not as the equal friend, business partner, etc. Then financial autonomy is external security. Having the security in life comes from the money in the modern world. Security allows you to say whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, without really worrying about consequences because you're secured by yourself. When one domain collapses, strain appears in the others. When all three are developed, a man experiences self-trust, respect, internal and external, freedom of action, long-term life satisfaction. Guys, this was it for today's video. Hit the like on my video, hit the subscribe on my channel.